The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, Galactic Standard Time. It appeared on every communication channel the Velthris Empire possessed, from military frequencies to civilian broadcasts. The transmission was simple, audio only, spoken in perfect Velthris language by a voice that sounded almost mechanical. This is Earth's final command to any and all galactic powers. Do not cross into Terran space. This is not a negotiation. This is a courtesy. That was all. 15 seconds of audio, then silence. Admiral Taiyang stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Glory, and listened to the recording for the 5th time. Around him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, stealing glances at their commander. They all knew what this meant. Someone out there, some unknown species, had just issued an order to the most powerful empire in the known galaxy. "Play it again," Taiyang said. His communications officer, a young man named Wu Jin, hesitated. "Sir, we've analyzed it thoroughly." "There's nothing more to learn from." "I said play it again." Wu Jin pressed the button. The voice filled the bridge once more, calm and emotionless. Taiyang closed his eyes and listened. There was no anger in that voice, no fear. Just a simple statement of fact, as if the speaker was reading from a technical manual. When it finished, Taiyang opened his eyes. "Where did this come from?" "We traced it to a system called Sol," Wu Jin replied. "It's in the outer rim, about 40 light-years from our nearest outpost. We have minimal data on it. 1 yellow star, 8 planets, a few dozen moons. And the species that sent this? They call themselves humans. Their home planet is the 3rd from their sun. They call it Earth." Taiyang walked to the main view screen and stared at the star map. The Sol system was marked with a red dot, surrounded by a boundary line that the humans apparently called Terran space. It was tiny. Just one star system, no colonies, no conquered territories, nothing but that single dot in the darkness. "What do we know about them?" he asked. His second officer, Commander Sora, stepped forward with a data pad. She was older than Taiyang, with gray streaking through her dark hair. She had served in the Imperial fleet for 30 years and had seen dozens of first contact situations. None of them had started like this. "Very little, sir," she said. "We detected their radio signals about 50 years ago, but we never investigated. They seemed primitive, barely spacefaring. Our scouts reported 1 orbital station and a few satellites around their planet. Nothing worth our attention." "Primitive," Taiyang repeated. He looked at the red dot again. "And yet they issue commands to us. It's likely a bluff, sir. Young species often overestimate their importance when they first encounter galactic civilization." Taiyang nodded slowly. That made sense. How many times had he seen this before? A species takes its first steps into space, discovers they're not alone, and panics. They make threats they can't back up, hoping to seem stronger than they are. Usually they came around after a proper demonstration of power. "What are our orders?" he asked. Sora checked her data pad. "Ambassador Hyunwoo wants to establish diplomatic contact. He's preparing a response message." "And the Empress?" Sora's expression darkened. "Her Majesty views this as an insult. She wants a demonstration of Imperial strength, of course she did." Empress Mirai was young, barely 30 standard years old. She had inherited the throne when her father died, and she was determined to prove herself worthy. Any challenge to Imperial authority was personal to her. The door to the bridge slid open and Ambassador Hyunwoo entered. He was a tall man with careful eyes and diplomatic bearing. He bowed slightly to Taiyang before speaking. "Admiral, I need to urge caution here." "Ambassador," Taiyang said, "you've heard the message multiple times, and I've reviewed everything we know about humans." Hyunwoo pulled up a holographic display. Images appeared in the air between them. Pictures of Earth, its blue oceans and green continents, cities glowing in the darkness. They're a carbon-based species, similar biology to ours. Average lifespan of 80 to 90 years. No natural weapons, no enhanced strength, no armor plating. Physically, they're unremarkable. "Then why the warning?" Taiyang asked. "That's what concerns me," Hyunwoo said. "Species don't issue ultimatums unless they believe they can enforce them. Either the humans are dangerously delusional or they know something we don't. Or they're bluffing," Sora added. Hyunwoo nodded. "Possible. But I recommend we proceed carefully. Send a probe first, test their defenses, gather more intelligence before we commit to any action." Taiyang considered this. It was sound advice. Send a probe, see how the humans react, learn more about their capabilities. If they destroyed it, well, it was just a probe. If they didn't, It would prove they were bluffing. The Empress has already made her decision, Sora said quietly. The probe launches in 1 hour. Hyunwoo closed his eyes briefly, then nodded. Then I recommend we monitor very carefully. If the humans can destroy our probe, we need to know how. An hour later, the probe launched from the Eternal Glory. It was a standard reconnaissance unit, equipped with sensors, cameras, and a basic AI for navigation. Its mission was simple: cross the boundary into Terran space, scan for military installations, and return with data. The probe reached the boundary in 40 minutes. Taeyang watched from his command chair as it approached the invisible line the humans had drawn around their system. His crew was silent, all eyes on their screens. Crossing the boundary now, Woojin announced. The probe vanished from their sensors. What happened? Taeyang demanded. Woojin's fingers flew across his console. I don't know, sir. It just disappeared. No explosion, no energy signature, nothing. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Check for malfunctions. Communications failure, anything. Running diagnostics now, sir. They waited. Taeyang felt sweat forming on his palms. Around him, his crew worked frantically, trying to understand what had happened. Minutes passed, then a message arrived. Same channel as before. Same mechanical voice. You were warned. Probe was neutralized. Turn back now. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at the communications console as if it might explode. Neutralized, Taeyang said softly. They destroyed it that quickly? Sir, Woojin said, his voice shaking slightly. I'm receiving a data burst. It's from the probe. It transmitted just before destruction. Show me. The main view screen changed. Images appeared, captured in the microseconds before the probe died. Taeyang leaned forward, studying them carefully. What he saw made his blood run cold. The boundary of Terran space was lined with structures. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, all hidden from long-range scans. They looked like weapons platforms, each bristling with equipment he didn't recognize. And they were all pointed outward, watching, waiting. But that wasn't what frightened him. What frightened him was the technology. The probe's sensors had analyzed the platforms in its final moments, and the readings made no sense. The power sources were too efficient, the materials too advanced, the design principles completely foreign. How long did it take them to destroy the probe? He asked quietly. 3.7 seconds, sir, Woojin replied. From the moment it crossed the boundary to transmission end, less than 4 seconds. The probe had barely entered their space before they killed it. Commander Sora moved to stand beside him, studying the images. Admiral, this changes things. If they can do this to a probe, what can they do to a ship? Taeyang didn't answer. He kept staring at those platforms, trying to understand what he was looking at. Whoever these humans were, whatever they weren't primitive. They weren't bluffing, they were ready. His communicator beeped. A message from Imperial Command, from Empress Mirai herself. Admiral Taeyang, you will prepare your fleet for immediate deployment. These humans have attacked Imperial property. They will learn their place. Taeyang closed his eyes. He thought about those weapons platforms, about the mechanical voice giving its calm warning, about the fact that the humans had destroyed the probe so quickly, so efficiently, that his sensors barely registered what happened. Acknowledge the order, he told Sora. She nodded and moved away. Taeyang looked at the red dot marking Earth on his star map. Somewhere in that distant system, the humans were waiting. They had given their warning. They had proved they could back it up. But Empress Mirai wanted a war, and Taeyang had a terrible feeling about what would happen next. The battle group consisted of 12 warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a small moon. Admiral Taeyang sat in his command chair aboard the Eternal Glory, and tried not to think about the weapons platforms they had seen. Tried not to think about how quickly the probe had died. All ships report ready, sir, Commander Sora said. She stood at her station, hands clasped behind her back. Her face was calm, but Taeyang knew her well enough to see the worry in her eyes. Very well, he said. Begin the jump. Space twisted around them as the fleet entered faster than light travel. They would arrive at the edge of Terran space in 15 minutes. 15 minutes to prepare. 15 minutes to wonder if they were making a terrible mistake. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood at the back of the bridge. He had insisted on coming despite Taeyang's protests. Someone needs to be here to document what happens, he had said. For the historical record. Now he watched silently as the crew prepared for combat. Weapons charged, shields powered up, fighter craft readied in their launch bays. Everything was going according to standard protocol. except nothing about this felt standard. Lieutenant Do-hyun, the youngest officer on the bridge, was working at his station with unusual intensity. He was responsible for tactical analysis, and he had spent the last 3 days studying everything the Empire knew about humans. Which wasn't much. "Lieutenant," Taeyang called. "Your report." Do-hyun looked up startled. "Sir, I've been reviewing human history. Their cultural broadcasts, their entertainment media, their historical records. And, sir, they've been at war for their entire recorded history. Not with us. With themselves." Taeyang frowned. "Many species have civil conflicts. Not like this, sir." Do-hyun pulled up a holographic display. Images flickered in the air. Ancient humans fighting with primitive weapons, then more advanced humans with firearms, then aircraft, then weapons that could destroy entire cities. They've developed weapons specifically designed to kill other humans for thousands of years. They've survived multiple global conflicts. They've built weapons that could destroy their own planet, and they've somehow managed not to use them. What's your point, Lieutenant? My point is that if they can build weapons to kill themselves, weapons to survive conflicts that should have made them extinct, what kind of weapons have they built to defend against external threats? The bridge fell quiet. Everyone was listening now. Taeyang saw several crew members exchange nervous glances. "They're just one species," Sora said firmly. "One planet. We are an empire of 47 systems." "Yes, Commander," Do-hyun said quietly. "But we've never fought a war for survival." "They have. Many times." Taeyang was about to respond when the navigation officer announced their arrival. "Dropping out of FTL in 30 seconds. Battle stations," Taeyang ordered. "All ships maintain formation. Shields to maximum." Space snapped back to normal around them. Stars appeared in the view screen. And there, directly ahead, was the boundary of Terran space. The invisible line the humans had drawn. "Scanning," Wu Jin said. "I'm detecting..." "Sir, I'm detecting the same platforms we saw before. Hundreds of them. They're all active. They're tracking us. Any communications?" "Receiving transmission now, sir." A new voice filled the bridge. This one wasn't mechanical. It belonged to a human, a woman, speaking in clear Velthris language. "Velthris Battle Group, this is Captain Ji-won of the Terran Defense Station Horizon's Edge. You are approaching restricted space. This is your final warning. Turn back now." Taeyang leaned forward. "Open a channel." "Channel open, sir." "Captain Ji-won, this is Admiral Taeyang of the Velthris Imperial Fleet. Your unprovoked destruction of our probe was an act of aggression. We demand an explanation and compensation." There was a pause. Then Ji-won spoke again, and Taeyang could hear something in her voice. Not fear. Resignation. "Admiral, you were warned not to enter our space. The probe crossed our boundary. We defended our territory. Now you're about to do the same thing. Please, for the sake of your crew, turn back." "We do not take orders from primitives," Taeyang said. "Stand down your weapons and prepare for inspection." Another pause. "Longer this time. Very well, Admiral. You were warned. Hostile fleet detected. You have 30 seconds to reverse course. After that, Earth's protocols will engage. Are they serious?" Sora asked. Taeyang cut the channel. "They're bluffing. Proceed forward. All ships prepare to cross the boundary." "Sir," Do-hyun said urgently, "I strongly recommend we reconsider." "Your recommendation is noted, Lieutenant." "Navigation, take us across." The fleet moved forward. Taeyang watched the timer on his screen. 30 seconds. The humans had given them 30 seconds, 20 seconds. "Sir, sensors are going haywire," Wu Jin said, his voice rising. "I'm detecting..." "Thousands of new contacts. They're appearing all around us." 10 seconds. "What kind of contacts?" Sora demanded. "Weapons platforms, sir. Thousands of them. They were hidden somehow, and now they're all active. We're surrounded." The view screen changed, showing the tactical situation. Red dots appeared everywhere, forming a sphere around the Velthris fleet. Thousands of weapons, all aimed at them. "Evasive maneuvers," Taeyang shouted. "All ships, maximum shields." The timer hit 0, the universe exploded. The weapons platforms opened fire simultaneously. Not with energy beams or missiles, but with solid projectiles moving at speeds that shouldn't be possible. Kinetic weapons accelerated to a fraction of light speed. The Crimson Dawn, one of Taeyang's escort frigates, died first. A projectile punched through its shields as if they weren't there, tore through the hull and exited the other side. The ship broke apart, atmosphere venting into space, crew dying instantly. "Return fire," Taeyang screamed. All weapons fire at will. His fleet tried. Energy beams lanced out, missiles launched, but the human platforms were too small, too fast, too numerous. For every one they destroyed, 10 more fired. The silver blade exploded. The morning star broke in half. The righteous fury went dark, systems failing, drifting helplessly. We need to retreat, Sora shouted over the alarm klaxons. Admiral, we need to leave now. Taeyang stared at the carnage on his screen. 8 ships. He had lost 8 ships in less than 3 minutes. 8 ships destroyed by an enemy that was supposed to be primitive. All remaining vessels, emergency jump. Jump now. The 4 surviving ships, all heavily damaged, activated their FTL drives. Space twisted around them as they fled. Behind them, the human weapons platforms ceased fire, having achieved their objective. Taeyang's ship shook violently. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. The lights flickered. His crew worked frantically to keep systems online as they limped away from the battlefield. Casualty report, he said quietly. Sora's face was pale. 8 ships destroyed. The 4 remaining ships, including ours, have sustained heavy damage. Estimated casualties, 4,000 personnel. Dead or missing, 4,000. Taeyang felt sick. 4,000 of his people gone in minutes. Sir, receiving another transmission from the humans, Wu Jin said. Play it. Captain Ji-won's voice filled the bridge again. Admiral Taeyang, if you're still alive, listen carefully. You crossed the line. You lost ships. The next force that enters Terran space will not be given the chance to retreat. Tell your Empress humanity's mercy has limits. The transmission ended. Taeyang sat in his chair, staring at nothing. Around him, his crew worked to repair systems, tend to the wounded, count the dead. But he couldn't focus on any of it. He kept seeing those platforms appearing on his sensors, thousands of them all at once. Kept seeing his ships dying. Ambassador Hyunwoo approached quietly. Admiral, I need to file my report with the Empress. Tell her the truth, Taeyang said. Tell her we were wrong. Will she listen? Taeyang thought about Empress Mirai. Young, proud, convinced of imperial superiority. Would she accept this defeat? Would she realize they had encountered something dangerous? No, he said finally. She won't. Hyunwoo nodded grimly. Then we need to prepare for what comes next. What comes next? If the Empress won't back down after this, she'll send more ships. Many more ships. And the humans... Hyunwoo trailed off, looking at the tactical display showing the aftermath of the battle. The humans were holding back. Holding back? Sora asked. They destroyed 8 ships in 3 minutes. Exactly, Hyunwoo said. 3 minutes. If they wanted us all dead, we would be dead. They let us leave. They could have destroyed every ship, but they didn't. They sent a message instead. Taeyang understood. The humans could have killed them all, but they chose not to. They gave warnings. They gave time to retreat. Even in victory, they showed restraint, which meant they were worse than he thought. Because only a species truly confident in their power could afford to show mercy. Lieutenant Do-Yun spoke up from his station. Sir, I've been analyzing the weapons they used. Kinetic projectiles at relativistic speeds. The energy requirements alone. They shouldn't be possible with technology our scientists understand. And the precision. Every shot found its target, no misses. No wasted ammunition. What are you saying, Lieutenant? I'm saying they've been planning this for a long time, sir. Those platforms, those weapons, the coordination. This wasn't thrown together. They've been ready for us. Ready for us. Ready for anyone who crossed their line. Taeyang closed his eyes. He thought about the mechanical voice from that first transmission. The calm certainty of it. This is Earth's final command. The news spread through the Velthris Empire like fire through dry grass. 8 warships destroyed. 4,000 dead. Defeated by a species no one had heard of 6 months ago. Empress Mirai stood in the Imperial War Room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the disaster. Her advisors stood at a careful distance, waiting for her reaction. None of them wanted to be the first to speak. This is unacceptable, she said finally. Her voice was quiet, controlled, but everyone in the room could hear the fury beneath it. We are the Velthris Empire. We have conquered 47 star systems. We have brought order to this region of space. And we are defeated by primitives? Fleet Admiral Kijun stepped forward. He was an old warrior, scarred from a dozen campaigns, brought out of retirement specifically for this moment. Your Majesty, with respect, Admiral Taeyang underestimated the enemy. He went in with 12 ships against an unknown defense network. It was a tactical error. And what would you do differently, Admiral? I would bring overwhelming force. 200 ships. The full might of the Imperial Armada. No single defense system can withstand that kind of firepower. Mirai studied him. You're certain? Your Majesty, I have fought and won against species far more advanced than these humans. The key is not to give them time to prepare, not to give them room to maneuver. We jump directly into their system in orbit around their planet, and we show them the true power of the Empire. Across the room, Ambassador Hyanwu cleared his throat. Your Majesty, perhaps we should consider a diplomatic approach. The humans clearly have formidable defenses. Perhaps we can negotiate. Negotiate? Mirai's eyes flashed. They destroyed Imperial vessels. They killed our people. And you want me to negotiate with them? I want to avoid further bloodshed, Your Majesty. The bloodshed will end when they surrender. She turned back to Kijun. Admiral, you have your orders. Assemble the Armada. Destroy their defenses. Make an example of them, Kijun bowed. It will be done, Your Majesty. Hyunwoo tried again. Your Majesty, we know so little about them. Their technology, their capabilities. At least let me send one more message, one more warning. No more warnings, Ambassador. They had their chance. Now they will face the consequences. On Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the surface, General Mi-young watched the Velthris Armada assemble. Her staff worked around her, coordinating defenses, running simulations, preparing for what was coming. How many ships? She asked. Current count is 193, General, replied Commander Yoonji, her intelligence chief. Still gathering. We estimate 200 total. Mi-young nodded slowly. 200 ships. The largest military force ever assembled against Earth. And they were coming. What about Counselor Hajun? She asked, still pushing for diplomacy. He wants to open communications again. Try to de-escalate. Can we de-escalate at this point? Yoonji shrugged. They're gathering an invasion fleet, General. I don't think they're interested in talking. Mi-young turned to her tactical display. It showed Earth, surrounded by its defensive layers. The weapons platforms that had destroyed Taiyang's fleet were just the outer ring. Closer in were the orbital stations, then the automated drone swarms, then the planetary defense grid. And beyond all of that, hidden in the asteroid belt and the outer system, were the weapons she really didn't want to use. Get me, Captain Jiwon, she said. A moment later, Jiwon's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired. She had been on duty continuously since the first battle, coordinating the defense network, monitoring the Velthris preparations. General, Jiwon said, the counselor wants to try talking to them one more time. Jiwon was quiet for a moment. Do you think it will work? No, but we need to try. If this goes the way I think it will, I want history to show we did everything we could to avoid it. Understood, General. I'll prepare the transmission. An hour later, the message was ready. Counselor Hajun had written it himself, carefully choosing every word. Captain Jiwon broadcast it on all frequencies, aimed directly at the gathering Velthris fleet. Fleet Admiral Kijun received it aboard his flagship, the Empire's Will. He listened to it once, then deleted it without comment. But one person in the fleet did pay attention. Intelligence Officer Suman sat in her small quarters, listening to the human message over and over. Admiral Kijun, the human voice said, this is Captain Jiwon of the Terran Defense Force. We know you're preparing to attack our world. We know you believe your numbers will overwhelm us. We're asking you one more time, please reconsider. Turn back. There doesn't have to be more death. Suman had been studying humans for weeks now, ever since the first defeat. She had analyzed their transmissions, their history, their culture, and what she had learned terrified her. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to ensure their enemy could never threaten them again. Their entire history was proof of that. They had developed nuclear weapons and immediately used them to end a war. They had nearly destroyed themselves in something called the Cold War, building enough weapons to kill everyone on their planet several times over, just to ensure no one would dare attack them. They called it deterrence. The ability to cause such terrible damage that no rational enemy would risk fighting them. Suman typed out a message to her superiors, marking it urgent. Recommend immediate recall of fleet. Humans are using deterrence doctrine. They have not shown their full capabilities. If we attack, they will respond with overwhelming force to prevent future attacks. She sent it. Then she waited, hoping someone would listen. They didn't. The Velthris Armada, 200 strong, jumped into Terran space 3 days later. They appeared in close orbit around Earth. Exactly as Kijun had planned. Surprise, overwhelming force. No time for the humans to prepare, except the humans were already prepared. All ships attack formation, Kijun ordered. Target their orbital stations first, then, "Sir!" his sensor officer shouted, detecting massive energy signatures. Thousands of them. They're everywhere. The weapons platforms appeared, just like before. But this time there were more, many more, and they were closer. Shields to maximum. All weapons fire! The platforms opened fire, but they weren't alone. The orbital stations activated, revealing weapon systems that made the platforms look like toys. Automated drones swarmed out of hidden bays, thousands of them, each the size of a fighter craft but requiring no pilot. And from the asteroid belt came something new. Asteroids. Moving. Accelerating. Dozens of them. Redirected somehow, turned into weapons hurled at the Veltris fleet at impossible speeds, evasive maneuvers. Kijun screamed. Break formation. The fleet scattered, but there was nowhere to go. They were surrounded, trapped in orbit, with Earth's full defensive might bearing down on them. The glory of Veltris exploded as an asteroid punched through it. The dawn's light went dark, all systems failing simultaneously. The Eternal Vigilance tried to jump away, but a drone swarm tore through its engines first. Kijun watched in horror as his fleet died around him. This wasn't a battle. This was an execution. The humans weren't fighting to drive them away. They were fighting to destroy them completely. General quarters, all hands to... His flagship shook as something massive struck it. Alarm screamed. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Life support failing. Engines offline, abandon ship, someone shouted. Abandon ship. But there was nowhere to go. The escape pods launched, but the drones picked them off one by one. The humans weren't taking prisoners. They weren't showing mercy. They were sending a message. Kijun sat in his command chair as his ship died around him. He thought about his long career, all his victories, all his conquests. And he realized in his final moments that he had never fought anyone like this before. The humans weren't defending their territory. They were eliminating a threat. Permanently. The Empire's will broke apart, and Fleet Admiral Kijun died with his ship. Of the 200 vessels that had entered Terran space, 23 escaped. They jumped away damaged and traumatized, leaving behind wreckage and bodies, fleeing as fast as their engines could carry them. As they ran, a final transmission followed them. Not from Captain G1 this time, from someone higher up the chain. This is General Myung of the Terran Defense Force. Earth's final command stands. Tell your Empress this is her last warning. The next Imperial ship that crosses this line will trigger a response you cannot imagine. The transmission ended. Back on Earth, in her command bunker, Myung watched the Veltris survivors flee. Around her, her staff was quiet, processing what had just happened. They had destroyed 177 warships. Killed tens of thousands of people. General, Counselor Hajun said quietly. He had watched the entire battle from the observation area. Was that necessary? Myung turned to face him. Her expression was hard. Counselor, they came here with 200 ships. They jumped into orbit around our planet. They were prepared to bombard us from orbit, to kill billions of people, to conquer our world. Was that necessary? Hajun had no answer. We gave them warnings, Myung continued. Multiple warnings. We destroyed a probe. We defeated their first fleet. We tried to communicate. They ignored all of it. So yes, it was necessary, because the only way to stop them from coming back is to make them understand that attacking Earth is suicide. And if they come back anyway? Hajun asked. Myung looked at her tactical display. Intelligence Officer Suman stood before Empress Mirai, trying to keep her hands from shaking. The throne room was cold and empty except for the two of them. Everyone else had been dismissed. That was either very good or very bad. You sent me a warning, Mirai said, before the attack. You recommended we recall the fleet. Yes, Your Majesty. Why? Suman took a breath. Because I've been studying the humans for months. Their history, their culture, the way they think. And I realized something that everyone else missed. Tell me. They're survivors, Your Majesty. Everything in their history shows it. They've survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters. They've fought wars that should have destroyed them completely, and they found ways to survive. More than that, they learned from every threat. Every time something tried to kill them, they studied it, understood it, and built defenses against it happening again. Mireille leaned forward. Go on. When they developed spaceflight, when they started exploring their own system, they must have realized they weren't alone in the universe. And what did they do? They didn't try to reach out. They didn't announce themselves. They built defenses, thousands of weapons platforms, orbital stations, drone networks. They spent decades preparing for the day someone found them. They were afraid, Mireille said. No, Your Majesty. They were realistic. They knew that space would have predators, species like us. And they decided that if anyone came to threaten them, they would make it so costly, so devastating, that no one would ever try it again. Mireille was quiet for a long moment. You're saying they want to be left alone. I'm saying they will do whatever it takes to be left alone. They don't want our territory. They don't want to conquer us. They just want their one-star system, and they're willing to kill anyone who tries to take it from them. Then why didn't they destroy all of our ships? Why let any escape? Because they're sending a message, Your Majesty. They could have killed everyone, but they didn't. They let survivors go so we would know what happened, so we would understand the cost of attacking them. Mireille stood and walked to the large window overlooking her capital city. Millions of people lived down there, billions more across the Empire's 47 systems, all of them looking to her for leadership. If we back down now, she said quietly, the Empire looks weak. Our subject species will rebel, our enemies will attack, everything we've built will crumble. Your Majesty, with respect, the Empire looks weaker with 200 ships destroyed. Mireille turned. What do you suggest? Let me go to Earth. Let me talk to them. Learn more about them. Find out what they really want. And if they capture you, interrogate you, then you'll have one more piece of intelligence about them, Your Majesty. How they treat prisoners. Mireille studied her for a long moment. Very well, but know this. If you go alone. No fleet, no backup. Just you and a small stealth ship. If something goes wrong, I cannot send help. I understand, Your Majesty. Then go. Find out who these humans really are, and find out if there's any way to defeat them. 3 days later, Suman's small stealth craft approached Terran space. She had disabled most of her ship's systems, running silent, hoping to slip past the human defenses undetected. She didn't make it past the boundary. Her console lit up with warnings. She was being scanned. Every sensor on her ship was telling her she was being tracked. A transmission came through. A human voice, calm and professional. Velthris Stealthcraft, this is Terran Defense Control. We've been tracking you since you left your space. Power down your weapons and proceed to the coordinates we're sending you. Any deviation will be interpreted as hostile action. Suman's hands hovered over her controls. She could try to run, but she knew it was pointless. They had been watching her the whole time. Acknowledged, she said in Velthris language. I'm here to talk. I'm unarmed. We know. Follow the coordinates. She followed them to Earth's moon, to a facility built into the crater. As she landed, she saw human figures waiting for her, soldiers in armor, weapons ready, but not aimed at her. She exited her ship slowly, hands visible. The humans scanned her, checked her for weapons, then escorted her inside the facility. The meeting room was simple. A table, a few chairs, a window showing Earth hanging in the black sky. A man in a civilian suit waited for her. He was older, maybe 60 years old by human standards, with gray hair and tired eyes. I'm Ambassador Kyung-min, he said in perfect Velthris. Please, sit. Suman sat. You speak our language well. We've been listening to your broadcast for 50 years. We learn quickly. He poured 2 glasses of water, slid one to her. You came alone. That was brave. Or desperate. Both, perhaps. Why are you here? To understand you. To find out if there's any way to stop this war before both our peoples are destroyed. Kyung-min nodded slowly. Let me show you something. He activated a holographic display. Images appeared. Human history, compressed into minutes. Ancient tribes fighting over territory. Empires rising and falling. Wars that killed millions. Weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. This is what we are, Kyungmin said. We are a species that has been at war with itself for 10,000 years. We've developed weapons specifically designed to kill each other. Swords, guns, bombs, chemical weapons, biological weapons, nuclear weapons. Each generation found new ways to be more efficient at killing. Suman watched, horrified. Why are you showing me this? Because I want you to understand. When we reached space, when we realized we weren't alone, we had a choice. We could either hope the galaxy was peaceful, or we could prepare for the worst. We chose to prepare. He changed the display, showing Earth's defensive systems. Everything you've seen, the platforms, the drones, the orbital weapons, that's just the beginning. We built them because we know what happens when you're not prepared. What else do you have? Suman asked quietly. Kyungmin showed her. And with each new revelation, Suman felt her hope fading. The weapons platforms were powered by fusion reactors that could run for centuries. The drones were controlled by artificial intelligences that could make decisions in microseconds. The orbital stations had weapons that could target anything in the solar system with perfect accuracy. But that wasn't the worst part. See these? Kyungmin pointed to structures in the asteroid belt, von Neumann machines, self-replicating systems. If Earth is ever destroyed, if every human is killed, these machines will continue. They'll build copies of themselves. They'll spread throughout the galaxy. And they'll hunt down everyone responsible for Earth's destruction. That's... Suman couldn't find words. Insane? Extreme? Yes. But it ensures that destroying Earth is never worth the cost. Because even if you win, even if you kill all of us, you'll spend centuries fighting machines that just keep coming. He showed her more. Weapons that could redirect asteroids at near light speed. Bombs that could sterilize entire planets. AI systems that could coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. We don't want to use any of this, Kyungmin said quietly. We just want to be left alone. But if you force us to fight, we will use every weapon we have. Not to conquer you, not to enslave you, but to ensure you can never threaten us again. Suman stared at the displays. All this time, the Empire had thought they were fighting a primitive species. But the truth was far worse. They were fighting a species that had spent millennia preparing for extinction. A species that had turned survival into an art form. You're showing me all of this, she said slowly. Why? You could have just sent me back with a warning. Because I'm hoping you'll make your Empress understand. We gave warnings, we destroyed your probes, your fleets. But we held back every time. We let survivors go. We didn't pursue. We didn't counterattack. Do you know why? No. Because we're hoping, desperately hoping, that you'll realize this isn't worth it. That one star system isn't worth the cost of fighting us. But if you keep pushing, if you send more fleets, if you force us to act. He trailed off. What will you do? Suman asked. Kyungmin met her eyes. We'll do what we've always done. We'll survive, and we'll make sure you never threaten us again. He handed her a data drive. Everything I showed you is on here. Detailed analysis of our capabilities, technical specifications, strategic doctrine. Take it to your Empress. Let her see what she's really dealing with. She'll think it's a trick, fake data designed to scare us. Then she's welcome to test it. Send another fleet. See what happens. But know this. We haven't shown our full strength yet. Everything you've seen, every weapon we used, that was just our defensive systems. We have offensive capabilities too, and if we're forced to use them, we won't stop at your fleets. We'll make sure no one in your empire has the capability to threaten us ever again. Suman took the data drive with shaking hands. Are all humans, like you, so prepared for war? No, Kyungmin said sadly. Most humans just want to live peaceful lives. They want to raise families, create art, explore the universe. But we've learned that peace requires the ability to defend it. So we built these weapons, these defenses, and we pray we never have to use them. As Suman was escorted back to her ship, she passed through the facility. She saw human soldiers, engineers, scientists. They looked tired. Many of them looked sad. None of them looked like they wanted this war, but all of them looked ready to fight it. Her ship was released and she jumped back to Velthris space, the entire journey. Empress Mirai watched the holographic display with growing horror. The data from Sumin's visit to Earth played out before her. Weapon specifications, defensive capabilities, strategic doctrines. All of it confirmed what she didn't want to believe. The humans were stronger than the Empire. Much stronger. This could be fabricated, said one of her military advisors, a general named Taehyun. They could be showing us fake data to intimidate us. Could they fake the destruction of 200 ships? Sumin asked quietly. Could they fake the death of Fleet Admiral Kijun? Taehyun had no answer. Mirai stood and paced the war room. Outside, her empire was crumbling. 3 subject species had declared independence in the last week. 2 more were in open rebellion. The defeated Earth had shown everyone that the Empire was not invincible. If we negotiate with them, she said slowly, if we back down, we look weak. More species will rebel. Our enemies will sense blood in the water. Your Majesty, Ambassador Hyunwoo said carefully. With respect, we already look weak. 2 fleets destroyed, thousands dead. The question now is whether we want to look weak and defeated or weak and wise. Wise, Mirai said bitterly. You mean surrendering to primitives. I mean surviving, Your Majesty. Because if we send another fleet to Earth, we won't just lose ships. We'll lose everything. Before Mirai could respond, alarms blared throughout the palace. Emergency broadcasts lit up every console. Something was happening. Your Majesty, Taehyun said urgently, checking his datapad. Emergency transmission coming in. It's being broadcast to every species in this region of space. Every communication channel. Every frequency. Who's sending it? The humans, Your Majesty, the transmission played. Mirai recognized the voice. Ambassador Kyungmin, the same human who had met with Sumin. This is Ambassador Kyungmin of Earth, speaking to all species in this region of the galaxy. We come in peace, but we have been forced to defend ourselves against the Velthris Empire. We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. We seek only to be left in peace. To that end, we make this declaration. Terran space is closed. No ship may enter without explicit permission from Earth. Any violation will be met with immediate response. Then the transmission changed. It showed footage from the battles. Velthris ships exploding, fleets retreating. The full extent of Earth's defensive capabilities on display for everyone to see. We show you this not to threaten you, Kyungmin continued, but to ensure you understand. Earth is not a target. We are not weak. We are not helpless. Leave us alone and we will leave you alone. That is our only request. The transmission ended. Mirai stood frozen. The human had just broadcast their strength to the entire galaxy. Every species now knew that Earth could destroy entire fleets. Every species that had ever considered the Velthris Empire invincible now had proof otherwise. He just destroyed us, she whispered. Without firing a single shot, he destroyed the Empire's reputation. No, Your Majesty, Sumin said. You did that when you ignored their warnings. Mirai turned on her, fury in her eyes. How dare, Your Majesty, please. I'm trying to save the Empire. The humans don't want to destroy us. They want to be left alone. If we give them that, if we agree to their terms, we can end this. And look weak to everyone. We already look weak. But we can look weak and alive, or weak and extinct. Those are our choices. The room fell silent. Everyone waited for Mirai's response. She was young, proud, desperate to prove herself worthy of her father's legacy. But she was also smart enough to know when she had lost. What do they want? She asked finally. A treaty, Hyunwoo said, stepping forward. I've been in preliminary contact with their diplomats. They want a formal agreement. The Empire recognizes Terran space as off-limits. In exchange, Earth agrees not to expand beyond their current boundaries and not to interfere in galactic politics. They don't want to conquer anyone? No, Your Majesty. They genuinely just want to be left alone. Mirai walked to the window, staring out at her capital city. She thought about her father, who had built this empire through strength and will. She thought about all the species they had conquered, all the systems they controlled, and she thought about those human weapons waiting patiently at the edge of Terran space. Arrange the meeting, she said quietly. I'll negotiate with them myself. 3 weeks later, a diplomatic vessel approached Terran space. Aboard was Empress Mirai, along with Ambassador Hyunwoo and a small delegation. For the first time in her life, she was going to negotiate from a position of weakness. They were met at the boundary by Captain Jiwan, who escorted them to Earth's moon. The same facility where Suman had been taken. President Isol was waiting for them. She was younger than Mirai expected, maybe 50 years old, with a calm demeanor and intelligent eyes. Beside her stood General Myung and Ambassador Kyungmin. Empress Mirai, Isol said, speaking in Velthris. Thank you for coming. Please sit, the negotiations took hours. Mirai tried to salvage what she could, tried to find some advantage, some way to make this look less like a surrender, but the humans were firm. Terran space is closed, President Isol said. No exceptions. No military vessels. No scientific expeditions without prior approval. No colonization attempts. This is non-negotiable. And what does the Empire get in return? Mirai asked. You get to survive, General Myung said bluntly. You get to keep your territory. You get to rebuild your reputation. And you get the certainty that Earth will not come looking for revenge. You could attack us, Mirai said. Your weapons could reach our worlds. Why don't you? Because we're not conquerors, Isol replied. We don't want your systems. We don't want to rule over you. We've seen enough war in our own history to know that conquest just breeds more violence. We want peace, but peace on our terms. And if we refuse? The room temperature seemed to drop. Myung leaned forward. Then we show you what we've been holding back. Those von Neumann machines Ambassador Kyungmin told your intelligence officer about? They're real. They're ready. You destroy Earth, they hunt you forever. You attack us again, we don't just defend. We eliminate the threat permanently. Is that what you want? Mirai looked at the human leaders. They weren't bluffing. Everything in their body language, their words, their actions, said they would do exactly what they promised. I'll sign your treaty, she said finally. But know this, the Empire will not forget this humiliation. We're not asking you to forget, Isol said. We're asking you to learn. There's a difference between being strong and being aggressive. You tried to conquer a species that only wanted to be left alone, and you paid the price. Learn from that. The treaty was signed that day. Terran space became an official exclusion zone, recognized by every major power in the region. No ships would cross that boundary. No attempts would be made to colonize or explore the Sol system. Earth had won its isolation, but the galaxy had learned something too. News spread quickly. The Velthris Empire, which had seemed unstoppable, had been defeated by a single species defending their home. Other empires took note. Other species began to question whether conquest was really worth the cost. A galactic council formed in the following years, born from the realization that maybe cooperation was smarter than conflict. The Velthris Empire, weakened but still standing, joined. So did 14 other species. Earth was invited to join. They declined. We appreciate the offer, Ambassador Sun He told the council. But we meant what we said. We don't want to interfere in galactic politics. We'll trade with you. We'll exchange culture and knowledge. But we won't join your governments or your alliances. We learned long ago that the best way to stay out of wars is to not take sides. The council accepted this. They had no choice. Earth had proven they couldn't be forced to do anything. Decades passed. The story of Earth's defense became legend. New species joining the galaxy were told about the exclusion zone around Sol, about the humans who just wanted to be left alone, about what happened to those who ignored the warnings. Intelligence Officer Suman, now promoted to ambassador, told the story herself at council meetings. She had become one of Earth's strongest advocates, arguing for their right to isolation. One day, a young species called the Karathi made first contact with the council. Their representative, eager and curious, asked about the mysterious empty space on all the star maps. What's in that zone? The Karathi asked. Why is it restricted? Suman smiled sadly. That's Terran space, the humans live there. Are they dangerous? Only if you threaten them. They have one rule, don't cross their line. 2 fleets learned that lesson the hard way. Don't make it 3. But surely they can't stop everyone. Surely if enough species work together. Stop, Suman said firmly. I'm going to give you the same advice I wish someone had given my Empress 30 years ago. Leave them alone. They're not interested in you. They're not interested in conquest or trade or anything else. They just want their 1-star system. Let them have it. But what if we need to expand? What if we need those resources? Then find them somewhere else. The galaxy is vast. There are billions of stars. You don't need theirs. The Karathi representative looked at the star map, at the small red zone marking Terran space. They must be very powerful to maintain this isolation. They are, but that's not why we leave them alone. Suman looked at the Earth's location on the map. We leave them alone because they asked nicely.